sector has been recapitalized and has changed in form as well. So if there's one message that everyone should know is that we are not the same banks that we used to be before. And the changes are throughout. It's not just the capital boost that we have, that now capital ratios are up by, and they're on the order of between 13 and 16% across the different banks in the sector. It's also the fact that there were new regulations issued. Corporate governance now are much stronger than what they used to be, much tougher. There are new regulations on new lending, on how to do new lending. There are new regulations on how to manage non-performing loans. There are a lot more new regulations with regards to anti-money laundering protection that the banking system required in the years before 2013. And the last one is quite important for the foreign investors that come to Cyprus. They should know that we are not the same banks with regards to the procedures for money laundering. We're more strict now, and this is only for the better, because the more strict you are, the better the quality of the clients you attract. So all these have contributed to the reshaping of the banking system, and this is what brought the trust back. A big change in culture. The change in direction was phenomenal in the sense that in December 2016, we had a deleveraging strategy. Because of what happened in Greece, gave us straight directions with regards to strategy that we should deleverage. We should reduce the balance sheet, we should stay away from growing the loan portfolio, we should collect as much as we can from the problematic debts and definitely reduce the exposure. The reason was the lack of capital that the parent bank could give to the subsidiary so that we could base our growth on. With the new investors coming in, this was out of the way. I mean, the capital boosted immediately the capital position of the bank, and the appetite also changed to a growth strategy. So we went from a deleveraging strategy to a growth strategy. And that requires a big change of culture. It was like following about 2 or 3 years of deleveraging, we were numb, and suddenly somebody came in with and it jumpstarted the whole engine. And that awakened the whole system. And from the moment that the new investors came in, the board changed. I personally felt the change as a CEO because I used to be the CEO for Piraeus Bank, so I lived through the change. And I was the first one that got affected from it because for the first time I faced the board, and suddenly the board was not of a subsidiary of a big group of the 80 billion size, which we were a small part of. Suddenly you're faced with the owners of the bank, which are entrepreneurs. They are the guys who mean business, and they are in the board to discuss on how we're going to grow, where are we going to give loans to, how we're going to get more clients in, where are we going to make money, what are the risks are we going to be taking to make this money, what is the new strategy for growth going to be. So all this, suddenly, we felt it from the very first board, the first week after the takeover. The board changed. Then independent directors that we used to have in the board stayed within the board, but new members came in the board from the owners, from the shareholders. Some of them were bankers, so they enhanced their knowledge and experience in terms of they had different exposure in different countries. So suddenly the experience we had at board level matured more in terms of the banking experience. And then the second thing we did was to change the shape of the structure of the organization. So now things are moving faster. The restructuring of the corporate unit, of the international banking unit, of our retail branches, it's taking part. It was activated throughout these 9 months. We're still in the process of changing everything. It's important that these changes are now communicated to each and every member of staff. So everyone now is part of this big change that started from the shareholders to the board and then now go to every granular level within the bank. There's only one goal, it's growth. The investors have an experience from other investments they did in different banks, and the growth they have achieved was like 5 times the balance sheet in 4 years. To do that, sometimes it depends on what is the pie you're trying to capture within the country. So to do it organically, it will be very hard and it's going to take more time. So the investors are not just looking for organic growth, they're also looking for growth via acquisitions, mergers, corporations. So we are actively doing that as well, and especially in the last 6 months. It is still part of the main strategy that we need to clear the balance sheet from the legacy that was created during the crisis. It's a big part of the balance sheet, it's about 40% of the balance sheet. You cannot ignore it, and you cannot wait too long as well. When you want to clear non-performing loans, you need to be fast and you need to be decisive. It's going to take time, and it's going to take time because if it's one thing that we need to improve in Cyprus, it's our legal system. We need to make it more efficient and more effective. At the moment, if someone doesn't pay his loan and he is refusing to cooperate with the bank, it may take up to 6 or 7 years to be able to recover your mortgage, your collateral. The foreclosure laws that were passed, which Troika actually insisted on having as a tool for the banks so that they can clear this non-performing loans problem, they work, they have improved things, but there is more things that we can improve. I heard recently that there is an initiative for that, which it's commendable. But the setup we had with Piraeus Group came from international consultants that advised the group on how to deal with non-performing loans, and the setup was replicated in Cyprus in the size and relevance of our balance sheet. So it works. It's promoting specialization. So someone who deals with non-performing loans and problematic clients has a different attitude, different perspective. It also relieves the corporate and the retail unit from the task of thinking, I have to deal with problematic clients. Focus on growth. Let someone else deal with the problematic debts, and they can be specialized and offer the solutions in a faster way as well. Number one, in lending, the practices of the past will never be repeated, should never be repeated. So we are now focusing on the very basic principles of lending. Capital should be there, character should be there, cash flow should be there. In the past, we were lending with one of the 3 missing, or even sometimes all 3 of them missing, because competition is pushing everyone to compete and try and get their bonuses and their targets and things like that. But now regulation is more strict. Number 2, on international banking, again, the practices of the past, where we had complex structure from international investors coming to Cyprus, where you had a company owing another company which owed a trust, and then the beneficial owners were hidden behind these structures. These are things of the past. The new regulations and the fact that we implemented the 4th directive of the European Union on AML earlier than anyone else taught us that you need to be more diligent and have evidence on whatever you do when you're dealing with clients that are not in Cyprus, they are overseas, and they are behind a structure. So the fact that we are now on continuing to do international banking, we do it because we've changed and we adapted to the regulation. And I think the last part is what was mentioned in both cases, to learn how to change. You have to change quickly. And I think if it's the achievement of Cyprus is that we just saw the problem, we realized that we cannot continue the way we used to do things, we just rolled our sleeves up. It was hard work, but we had to change, and we did. I'm very happy in the sense that, so I believe a lot in CSR, and I believe in CSR with the sense that if you are working in an environment and in a country or in a system, you have a duty to improve that system in which you work for. You have a duty to your employees, you have a duty to your clients, and you have a duty to your potential clients as well. And you need to make the system better, and that's the system you work in. So it's a win-win situation. So I see it as an obligation, and I'm glad to say that the new investors, when they came in, they had exactly the same views. We focused a lot on Eurobadona, which is women that have a problem with breast cancer. We became strategic partners with Eurobadona Cyprus, and we sponsored the once-a-year pink walk, as they call it, the walk with the pink silhouettes, which is very symbolic. Awareness is very important, and we are promoting awareness so that women can go and test themselves. That's the only way to combat this disease at the moment, by awareness, prediction, and proactively being tested and taking care of the problem. This year, we had about 10,000 people that walked with us. And they walk symbolically from the center of Nicosia to our building. And we have, if you probably see it in front of the building, they put the silhouettes and write a message. And we worked very well together. And we're proud that now a lot more people know about this, and a lot more women now go for breast testing before they detect the problem, in order to detect the problem and deal with it there in early stages. But also, a lot of other people know about the problem, and it's not a stigma for a woman anymore. It's just something that everyone knows about, and they're informed. We're also very proud in the sense that we are promoting entrepreneurship, especially in young people. So we became strategic partners, and we promote the Junior Achievement Program. The Junior Achievement Program is an international organization, and we convinced the Minister of Education to actually put the entrepreneurship program within the schools, high schools, and the lyceums. And now kids which are 16, 17-year-old, they form a company. We have sponsors from the bank and from other industry sectors where they go as mentors and advise this team of 4 or 5 people, kids that they have with their teachers, create a company, register the company, find an idea to promote, sell the product, keep books, get financing, actual money, sell it, and then dissolve the company as well. So they go through the cycle of marketing, creating a product, the problems, the promotion, the distribution channels, real things, real examples. The kids enjoy it, and at the end, they come out with an idea that, so I don't have to go and work for the public sector when I finish school. I don't have to be an employee somewhere. I can actually create my own company, and I can have ideas and set them up. Not everyone will will be successful, but at least they will try. And this is a change of the system, which I've mentioned before, change the culture of people.